All right. Tell me your name.
Jimmy Tillman.
And how long you been in racing?
Well, I actually started back in 1960, I guess I'd say.
What year was it when you actually started racing?
Probably in the late 60s. When I was driving myself, I had a car or two before then that Clyde Williams drove, and a couple of them, but in the late 60s I built a 56 Ford, and I raced it a couple of years, and then I quit.
Mm-hmm.
And I quit for quite a while, probably 10 years or so. 10 or no longer than that. I started back in 1990, I believe it was, and been messing with it ever since.
What were you driving that night?
Driving a 55 Chevrolet. It was in the figure eight races. We'd run a quarter-mile oval for the heat races, then we'd run figure eight races in the feature.
And you broke the track record?
Yeah. 22 flat on the quarter mile with a 6-cylinder Chevrolet.
Well, how did you get involved in racing? What got you started in it?
Just liked it. My uncle carried me to Daytona a couple of times on the old road and beach course when they ran down there, and I just liked it. And then I went to the first race at Thunder Bowl. I went to the first race Daytona had at the Super Speedway.
Oh, really? So you spent your wedding night at Thunderbolt? Or no, the next night?
No, the night before my wedding.
How did your wife think about that?
She didn't care. She knew I liked racing.
I've seen Granny go one time. One time to the races.
When was that?
I can tell you why she don't like racing now.
Why?
Back when we was racing in the early days at Thunderbolt and Patton Speedway and I-75 and all those, there was so many fights, and she just didn't like to see me get in a fight. And then I got in a bad wreck at Thunderbolt one night. She followed the ambulance to the hospital, and just had some bad experience.
When did you get hooked up with your driver?
In the early 90s, after I started back messing with race cars, Carl Black, my son-in-law, and he started driving for me, and then a little later on, Randy started driving. Both of them son-in-laws.
So he started driving first and then met your other daughter?
No, Carl was married to my youngest daughter, Julie, and he was interested in driving. And then later on, Randy, he's married to my oldest daughter, Donna, and both of them turned out to be pretty darn good drivers. Had a good time over there.
You went to Rockingham too?
Yeah.
How'd you get involved with that?
Well, I went up there and watched a race. It was a Frank Kimmel race, and I went up there and watched one a couple of years ago, me and my brother Mickey, and I decided to build one, and we ran 2 races there this year, one in April and I think one in, November, October sometime. And we ran 2 races up there. It was a lot of fun. It was just something different, new experience, and we really enjoyed it.
Well, tell me.
We were in Volusia, down at Volusia Speedway a few years ago, running a 100-lap hobby stock race, and Randy was driving my car, my 38 car, and Stoney Gaston was down there with his car, a little blue 81 car Camaro, and Carl Edwards and David Reagan showed up down there. And we got to talking to them, and they were down there at Daytona at that same time practicing the bush. At that time they called them bush cars, and they'd come over there just to the track that night, looking around, and they act like they wanted to drive a little bit, so I let David drive my car, and Stoney let Carl Edwards drive his. And the track promoters said it'd be okay if they'd start in the rear, you know. And they ran, and we had a good time. It was a real good experience. And the next day, Carl fixed it where we could get in the speedway over there with them and hang out with them that day, practicing the bush cars. And so that was real good. We had that was real memorable, and we enjoyed it.
Well, you're kind of, I mean, well, you are the head of this whole group. Have you kind of adopted these guys as part of like your family too? They kind of like your family.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, all of them. They all welcome here, and we have a good time. We just go to races and, you know, get out here in the shop, work on these cars, and enjoy it. And nobody's really expecting anything out of it. We just, none of us are. Never expect to make any money for sure, but just have a good time. All of us like racing.